All right, you ready, Freddie?
Mm-hmm. What's up, sports fans? Welcome to an episode of Sports Recap Live. I am your host, by always, Matthew Shipe, joined always in studio by my co-host and producer, Paul. Paul, how are you doing?
What up, what up, what up?
Joined, as always, via Skype, first from the sunny state of Florida. Anthony, how are you doing? What?
How we?
Oh, there he goes. He's done. Can't hear him.
Can you hear him?
Hey, Chris, you hear me?
Oh, now we hear you. How you doing?
Yeah. Probably the music's a little loud there. I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
We're doing good.
It's too loud. I'm sorry, okay?
And joined from the crap state of Maryland, Chris, how you doing, buddy?
Doing all right, man. How's everyone else doing?
So far,
Doing great, man. Can't complain.
Yeah.
Ready?
So, what'd you say?
Ready to debate. Let's get it on the table. Let's go.
Oh yeah. So let's start off with some current, I guess, breaking news for the Redskins. Yesterday, right before the game started, or Sunday, the 49ers released Reuben Foster after he was arrested for his second domestic violence, I guess you could say, charge or in Tampa, where the team was playing at. And so they cut him. They cut him Sunday, which I think what you should do after a guy for his second offense is doing this. And then he went on waivers, and of course the Washington Redskins pick him up. So, Chris, you're a fan of the team. What are your thoughts on this?
I kind of have to address what the I think it was the VP said that they like his football skills, but obviously he has to go through the whole legal process. He also has to speak with counselors that are on the team payroll before he even puts on a burgundy and gold jersey, which I think is the right thing to do. You do have to kind of vet out the allegation, the charge, see if there is any merit to it. And of course, if there is, then he's definitely not going to take the field at all. But if there isn't, then you've got yourself a pretty good linebacker to add to our defense. It's already pretty stout right now.
Anthony, what do you think about this guy?
I'm gonna let you two go on this one. You guys both have different opinions on this, so I would like to hear both of your opinions because I know you guys talked about it on fair, and I'll kind of chime in at the end after you guys both get each side on the table there.
I wouldn't want him on my team. Simple as that. It's your second time being charged. The first time, yeah, the woman, she went back on it, but how do we know she wasn't paid off by John Lynch or someone to keep quiet? I mean, we don't know if that happens. I have a zero tolerance for something like that. If you're going to be accused for a second time, I don't want you no part anywhere near my franchise because this is the second time in the same year. What's to stop it from happening a third time? Obviously, this guy has some issues, and I think he needs to work those issues out before he even starts worrying about football. So that's my stand. If it was the first time, okay, let's see what happens. But this is the second time. This guy has a problem, it seems like, of hitting women, and that's cool. I mean, I guess with the Redskins, it's like, all right, cool, let's see if he stops, and let's see how he reacts. I just don't think there's a place for this in the NFL. I think the NFL should have zero tolerance on this, and this guy shouldn't have been allowed to join a team until they figure out what's going on for a second offense.
Now, I agree with you there. If this is, in fact, the second time that he was charged and actually found guilty, then you're going to jail. But the first time that happened...
She go to jail if he's found guilty this time, regardless.
But I'm just saying, the first time there was no evidence, there was no proof, and the victim recanted because there was no... They said it was a female. She said it was a female that hit her, not him. Now, this same person...
I can see his hair, he looks like a female.
Stirring the pot. Who knows if there's any merit behind it, but you need to let the legal system figure this out first. But technically, as of right now, he's innocent of any wrongdoing. Am I right?
You're right, but I mean, it looks like he has a history of this from 1 year.
a history or a problem with the same person who's maybe trying to get money.
Is this the same person? Is that they come out and say?
It's the same person. I'm pretty sure it was.
Well, then obviously, then there's a history between these two. And if she did something to you the first time, or if she lied the first time, why are you going back to her again? Stay away. She accused you once. Why? It's so dumb.
Relationships are definitely difficult, but at the moment, like I said, he's innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
And if he is in fact innocent, then he needs to do whatever he needs to do to, like you said, distance himself from this person and play football.
If I'm a GM or an owner and you have domestic violence issues, see it. Go to the Nets team. I don't want you. You don't need to be a part of my team.
I mean, like LaShawn McCoy, if we really want to go there, there is not LaShawn McCoy. Who was it? Ray Rice. Ray Rice. There is actual video proof of what happened, and you saw right there he's gone, and he's never got a job after that. There's, if there is proof of wrongdoing, if you are accused of domestic violence and there is proof and you are found guilty, then by all means you should not be on an NFL roster. But there's no proof here, I don't think. At least so far.
All right, well, let's shift from that. Well, Anthony, your team has experience with dealing with someone with domestic issues. What are your thoughts on this?
I agree with both points that basically, if it's the true and he did, that there's no room for him anywhere in the NFL.
Right.
Never
100%.
Talent should never supersede anything you do, and that's 100%. All three of us completely agree that's 100% wrong to be in any kind of situation like that. That should never be tolerated by any company, and especially in such a situation like this as the NFL.
Exactly.
So I agree that if it is true, that he should not be able to be in the NFL. That should be just like you said, no issues at all. It should just be done. He's out. No questions asked. I do agree with you, Matt, on the one thing that if this is I think that maybe the Redskins should have kind of stayed back a little bit, because I think this might put a little bit more pressure on their organization now for kind of jumping in here before the due process.
I would love to see where the Redskins were at on the waiver wire to see where they stacked up and see how many other teams just said no.
Right, and regardless of that, because now it's going to put a light, on the Redskins that they don't necessarily need right now, and kind of see, because if it does end up being whether it's, it is true or it's not, this could be something that falls back on the organization too. So it's definitely a very hard situation to be in, and just bottom line, like you said, at the end of the day, there's just no room for it. It shouldn't be tolerated, and that's just the way it is. And I think we all agree with that. I think we can move on with that, leaving it at that.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to NFL. We talked about our teams. We all took L's this week. Wasn't it like 2 weeks ago where we all took W's? Now we're all taking L's.
It's the NFL.
So we got, just real quick, go through it. The Skins lost on Thanksgiving to the Cowboys, and pretty, not too good. Amari Cooper had a field day. The Giants were winning, and then they lost for some reason. Was there anything ever come out on Barkley? Was he hurt, or did they just change their game plan up? What was it?
I'm just going to play like Odell did. I'm not too sure.
What? No, I'm being
when they asked him, I'm not sure. That's what he told them. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not sure.
Okay. And then last night, the Titans started off 10-0. I was like, woo! And then the wheels just fell. All right, so that was weird. I hear echoes again. Paul, producer.
What?
Echoes.
You hear echo now?
Just fine.
Yeah.
I hear everything fine.
Who's echo?
Just my echo. All right. Anyway, my problem last night was the Titans' offensive coordinator. It looks like he's a high school football coach.
Is that better?
Yeah. You have 4th and 1 on the 3-yard line. You're trying to score, trying to go up 17-13. You have a 6'4", 240-pound muscle running back, and you give the ball to tight end. Like, really?
In all fairness to the Titans, though, in that situation, and I'll say this, being a huge fan of Derrick Henry, he really has not played like you guys were expecting him to this year compared to last year. And you can't say the line hasn't been good, because you guys have very, very good linemen up front ahead of you. And he just
linemen have sucked this year, dude.
I'm sorry?
The linemen have sucked.
But you said they're all pros, right? You got Luan.
That was last year. I never said that this year. This year they played under. He's playing under that salary cap.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So I think that's why the coordinator, I think, went a different route there. Because if you're saying the line hasn't been protecting that well either, he was worried. I mean, you think about it, it's not like the Texans don't have a great, up front four with Clowney and Watt on the line to try and put, when they know you're coming in on an inside run, you got to expect pressures coming up the center. So he went for something a little there. It did, however, in the Titans case, kind of changed the momentum and changed the whole way of the game. And after that, it was like that was the end of it for you guys in Houston. And also, you got to remember too, there was a lot. They were playing with a lot of emotion. Their owner had passed away. Rest in peace to Mr. McNair there in Houston, one of the big time owners that you heard about in the NFL a lot. So the Texans were playing with a lot more than just that it was a football game. It was a lot more for them. It was someone that believed in those guys day in and day out and brought a lot of them there to the team and trying to, instill that winning culture there for the organization. So there was a lot going on in that game last night. But make no mistake about it, you ran into a team that's playing some of their best football right now, and for the first time in NFL history, a team that started 0-3 and won 8 in a row. So I mean, it's not like you're playing a team that's winning one game every 4 games.
Fair enough. Okay, so before we shift from the NFL, I think it's time for top 5 after this week. So I guess I'll go ahead and get it going. Number 1, I'm going to stay with the Saints at number 1. Still 10-1, another big victory on Thursday night football. So I'm going to stay with the Saints. 2, I'm going to stay with the Rams, second best record in the NFL, 10-1. They just lost head-to-head to the Saints, and that was it. 3, guys, stay with Kansas City, man. They just keep rolling. They had a bye week, but they're still the best team in the AFC. And number 4, I'm going to go with the LA Chargers, who right now, 1 game back of the Chiefs, but they have the second best, tied for the second best record in the AFC, which is crazy because that means they won't even get a bye week. Did we just lose them? Guys? Hello? I'm talking to myself. Can't hear you. Oh, what happened? You cut off the conversation. Stand by for 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. We had a little malfunction. What'd you do?
I don't know why they stopped.
We still got you.
Oh, there they go. They're there.
We got you back. Yep. We lost you there for a second.
Yeah, we missed everything you said. I just pulled up the stream. It looks like you were fine, but we were frozen on the stream.
Okay, so I had Saints, Rams, Kansas City, Chargers, and then my 5th team will be the Chicago Bears. After, I think they're just rolling with that defense, and you can see even without Mitchell Trubisky, they still find ways to win. So I'm gonna go Chicago. Is gonna move into my top 5. So Anthony, go ahead.
At 1. I told you I'm sticking with this team. I know they lost head-to-head, but I still have the Rams as the best team in the NFL. I think they will avenge that loss to the Saints in the NFC title game. I have the Saints 2nd. I have the Chiefs 3rd. And I kind of went back and forth here with the teams I had at 4 and 5. At number 4, I actually have a new team this week. I put the Texans at 4. After Monday night's game, I saw a lot of potential there. Demaryius Thomas being integrated into the offense really puts that team at another level for having a 1-2. And if Lamar Miller is going to run the ball that effectively, that's going to change the whole entire offensive scheme for the Texans, and that's going to make it a lot harder for defenses to cover that team. And then at number 5, I have the Bears. They didn't have Trubisky, and they played really well. And I think that they're a team that a lot of people, unfortunately, are sleeping on, and they need to start realizing that they're a serious contender in the NFC.
Yep. So for my top 5, let me see. Did we lose Matt again or no?
I'm here.
All right, cool. So my top 5, I'm siding with Matt on this one. I think the Saints are the best team in the NFL right now. It's more of a 1A, 1B. The Rams are literally right there. If they play that game 10 times, it could be 5 wins for each team. They're really, both teams are really good. So I've got Saints at 1, Rams at 2. I think losing Cooper Kupp maybe could be, a factor in them being number 2, because he was a pretty big part of that offense. Number 3 is the Kansas City Chiefs. Their offense just looks amazing. Coming back against the Patriots, even though they lost, being able to stick with the Rams pretty much in that game was a shootout, one of the best Monday Night Football games I've seen in a long time. So Chiefs, definitely number 3. I'm sticking with kind of old faithful. I know you guys have, new teams at 4 and 5, but I'm sticking with the Patriots. I know they've had some tough losses the past couple weeks. They came back and beat a Jets team that really is just not that good. But if they can get Gronk back in the mix, I think their offense will start to click a little more, and also get Josh Gordon more involved week in and week out. Number 5, though, I think last week I had the Chargers at number 5, but with them losing Melvin Gordon, I know it's week to week. It could be 1 week, could be 3 weeks, could be the rest of the regular season. We're not 100% sure, but I definitely am going to put the Bears in there at number 5. That defense just looks amazing. Khalil Mack is an absolute monster. And pressure creates turnovers, and that was the difference in the game. They created a lot of turnovers, and touchdown off the turnovers is all you can ask for to win the game. So put Bears right there at number 5.
All right, so there's our weekly NFL power rankings. We do that every week, so you'll catch a new one, maybe some new teams next week. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we got some good matchups coming up.
Yeah. Just looking real quick to next week, we have the Skins will play the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night. Everyone remembers the Monday Night Massacre.
Yep.
We have Titans play the Jets. Giants have Chicago, which on my thing will be live on our television again. So once again, I'll get to watch the Giants against the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore at Atlanta. What'd you say?
Lose the game.
Oh.
I told you, I didn't want the Giants fans to have hope. When Beckham said we can win them all, they lost one and they lost a division game. Now they need to realize come back down to earth. They're not winning and they're not going to the playoffs.
The 4 p.m. game on Sunday, we have Minnesota versus New England, and then the Sunday night game, we have the Chargers against Pittsburgh. So we'll find out a lot about those two teams.
That'll be a good matchup, because I think the Steelers are probably right there hanging around like 6, 7, maybe 8 for all of us, I think. And we don't do top 10s, but when I'm ranking them, I'm putting the people kind of right behind them. I think the Texans and Chargers and Steelers are all right there, like 6, 7, 8, kind of in there. So that'll be a good deciding match.
Agreed.
All right, so let's shift real quick to a different sport that has a ball, but it's a golf ball. And let's talk about from Friday, let's talk about the match. Tiger versus Phil, $20 pay-per-view buy. I watched it for free. We use, there's websites.
You mean you paid $20?
Yeah, I tell you what, it wasn't worth $20. They both played like crap. It was really bad. They were throwing. I think out of all the bets, Phil won $600,000 from Tiger. Tiger won, I think, $200,000 from Phil. But they were all going to charity. It's not like they had to spend that much. But it was kind of cool to hear them talk to each other, figure out what they're gonna do for their next shot. I would love for the PGA Tour to actually have that, more mic'd up golfers like you have in the NFL and baseball. I think it'd be kind of cool. But I guess I was expecting more. I guess it's because they're buddies now. I think like 10 years ago when they hated each other, this would have been like a really cool idea to do. But I think it's just 10 years too late. Phil won on the 22nd hole. I think they had to bring out lights so they could see. Tiger chipped in on number 18 to force the playoff. But it didn't live up to. It was good. It wasn't great, but it was good.
I heard that Charles Barkley came out and said this is some crappy golf.
Charles Barkley came out and said he could beat both of them, and they just laughed at him.
Yeah,
Well, when I was talking to my buddy said they should have him out there or have someone out there for
reference.
Get them to go at each other. But, there wasn't as much trash talk. Yeah. I think a lot of people were expecting Tiger to drop the F-bomb a lot. But, his kids were there. Phil had his kids there, so you really weren't going to see that side of them, I think. I think this is something you could do every Friday of Thanksgiving. I just think you maybe need to go younger, or maybe have some more rivals do it. That would be a little bit more fun, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a step in a different direction, and a good direction for the sport too, because it brings a new level of excitement. Like you just said, you got to see two of the most talked about and best golfers of all time going head to head. Whether it be that you necessarily didn't want to see it now or maybe years ago, but you got to see it, something that's never really been done before. So it's definitely something they can build on for future, years to see if maybe they can do this again.
Yeah, so I'm hoping it does happen again. I would love to see some different offers, but like I said, I mean, unless it changes, I wouldn't pay $20 again.
Fair.
All right, let's shift real quick to baseball. Just a couple big things. Josh Donaldson, big power hitter, was in contention for MVPs for quite a while, and Toronto got traded to the Indians. Now he's going to another, I guess, Indian team, but he's going to the Braves on a 1-year, $23 million deal. So the Braves they're trying to go all in right now. Anthony, his team are reportedly in discussion for a trade. So Anthony, break that down real quick, because you mentioned someone who was part of that trade. And reading all the comments, everyone's saying that you guys would win that and the Mariners would lose.
Right. So basically what's being said is the Mariners want to unload Robinson Cano's contract. He's due $20+ million over the next multiple years. In this deal, basically the Mariners would be sending Cano and either Diaz, the relief pitcher, was a very good closer when he was pitching well for the Mariners, or Mitch Haniger, the outfielder, to the Mets for Jay Bruce and then one of their top 10 prospects. But the additional part I'm hearing here now, which is why a lot of people are starting to say it would definitely benefit the Mets, because not only would they get either Cano or Haniger or maybe the relief pitcher, obviously a bullpen is a big need for them, they're going to give upwards, I heard, of $10 million a year to offset his contract. So not only are they trading Jay Bruce, who has a $10 to $12 million, I think, range a year, but they're also only having to pay maybe $12 million a Cano's deal a year for a second baseman, a position that they definitely have a big need at. And it could be another power bat if he comes back to his true form before, obviously, the suspensions happen. And when he played without the suspension, he's batting over 300. So it's definitely something that I think it's worth a gamble on. And like I said, if we can get Diaz or Haniger, I think that just gives the Mets even more incentive to make this deal. As you saw, Jay Bruce last year, again, looked like what the Mets had gotten when they traded for him the first time before he had the next big year where he ended up getting traded later that season to, I think, for the Indians before the postseason and then returning this past offseason. So maybe it's just not going to be the move. And if they can make a move like that and maybe try a new player, I mean, what's the hurt? We know Cano can play in New York. He's done it before with the Yankees, so it's not like it would be something he's never played in the area before. But we'll see.
So winter meetings, I believe, is coming up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll still be waiting to hear on the Bryce Harper sweepstake, the Manny Machado sweepstake, the Nats, see what they do. So we'll keep up to date with that on our Twitter at Sports Recap Live or Facebook. We'll keep up on those big breaking news.
All right. I'm telling you right now, I told you this on the phone. 1 year, $30 million. Hand it to him. Hand it to Harper. Keep all the pitchers. Go for it all. If these pitchers are all going to leave anyway and you don't think we have it, you got one season, go get the best guy that's out there. Give him $30 million. If he doesn't do well or the Mets don't do great, he still has next year, can get that big contract again. Why not? If they're as serious as they are saying they want to make moves, that's the move to make.
I showed my wife that message about Harper going to the Mets, and she said, why would he want to go to a team that always gets beat by the Nats by 20 runs?
Yeah, that's fine. You have no hardware to show for it, my friend. That's what matters.
Very true. That's very true. All right, Anthony, I'm messing with you, but nothing but love, brother.
That's what it all comes down to. You could beat the Mets by 20. I mean, they've been under 500? I'm just telling you as an outside fan, not Mets or Nationals.
Dude, I already know, man. We've been living with friggin' teams like that for the last 10 years. I said 10 years ago the Nats would be the first team in this area since the Redskins to win a
I remember you saying that.
And you were wrong. Yeah.
I should have been right. For probably 3 years in a row I should have been right. And then the Capitals somehow just did it. But
just couldn't clutch up.
Speaking real quick before we get to college football, speaking of the Caps real quick, remember what was it, 2-3 weeks ago we talked about how they're at the bottom with Philly and Pittsburgh. Now they're at the top.
Finally back at the top. That's
right. Got a 6-game win streak ever since who came back when they started winning?
Tom Wilson came back.
Tom Wilson. And guess what? He hasn't had any really dumb hits or anything. He's been just scoring goals. So there's your difference maker that they've been waiting for.
It's early. Always a good sign.
Mm-hmm. And New Jersey's not in last place anymore. Guess who's the Flyers have taken over last place.
The Devils are not good though either. So let's not discount. They might be not in last, but they're right there at the bottom. They're not playing.
And look at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's like they're still not even in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's definitely not good hockey being played by teams you expect a better hockey. So it's going to be second half. A lot of these teams need to wake up. So
now, what I did like about the Capitals, Anthony, I don't know. I sent you the message on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, but last night they played the it was either last night or 2 nights ago. They played the Islanders, and they brought Barry Trout. Actually, got to come. He went into Capitals locker room. Him and the assistant coaches from the team last year. And they gave all 3 of their rings, and Trout, got to, he came in and said, we effing did it. So it was a cool moment that they let him do that and let him get the ring like that with the team before they played him.
For sure.
So kudos to the Cats because they could have just, went to the Islanders locker room, said, here's your 3 rings. Thank you for what you did. But the fact that they let him come in and Ovi gave him the ring, which was pretty awesome, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Not many teams do it. So, all right, let's move to the big thing, college football. The selection committee just announced about 20 minutes ago, and we have a change. Michigan is gone, and hello. Oh, what do you know? A second SEC team is in the top 4. Shocker. So we have Bama at 1, Clemson, Notre Dame, Georgia. Those are your top 4. And then rounding out the top 10 is Oklahoma, Ohio State, Michigan. UCF moved up to number 8, even with the loss of Mackenzie Milton. So first off, prayers out to him. Hopefully for a speedy recovery. I had to watch it live, and it was very devastating. I didn't like how it happened. I think it was really, in my opinion, a very cheap hit that could have been avoided. But prayers to him. I hope he comes back.
What happened to him?
So he was running. He did a read option. He was running. He was getting tackled from behind, and the South Florida player went really low and hit him right at the knee, and broke. Did the bone penetrate the skin or no?
What I want to speaking of, I want to say this as a UCF fan, and regardless, this is a football. I don't think the hit was dirty. I can't really watch it because I just know obviously what the end result was. What people were telling me. But I saw it. I don't think it was purposeful. I think it was just an unfortunate thing. They're saying the helmet hit. What happened was basically his knee got dislocated, Paul. And when that happened, the blood flow. There's a lot of arteries that go to your knee. The blood flow was stopped, so they had to do emergency surgery to get the knee back into location, and that was what kind of caused it. He has nerve damage, but his nerve is intact. It is injured.
Okay.
But they said that he will have to get reconstructive surgery, but right now he kind of just wants to have, his privacy at this time.
Yeah, sure.
I saw what the mom tweeted out. Yeah,
it's a great, it's a horrible situation. It's a great thing to hear that he is in good spirits though right now, and that he will have that surgery. I heard a report too that one of his close friends said that he was actually walking on it already too, which was also a really good sign.
Wow.
So, like Matt said, prayers out to him and to
it's gonna be a
everyone
long
over.
road to recovery, but with all the good news we're hearing, he could.
Yeah,
if this kid comes back, it'll probably be one of the best comeback stories. And we didn't even get to talk about, speaking of his injury to the knee, what a bad week for knee injuries. Then we had the Alex Smith one 2 weeks ago, and they said his bone actually penetrated the skin.
Yeah, that I think was
his career,
the same as Theismann.
They're saying his career his career is in trouble.
It was the same day as Theismann too. That's what
same exact day.
Same
exact
day,
injury.
and then the same score outcome too is what I heard too. So the very same thing.
So
it's crazy.
Really weird situation.
And he was there at the game too.
He was
watching. Yeah.
So prayers out to those guys. So where is that?
Sure.
UCF 8, Florida 9, LSU 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Dude, they got such a hard on for the SEC conference. It's so stupid.
They just right real quick, and this has nothing to do with the SEC. SEC, we'll talk about
Florida,
that.
3 losses. LSU, 3 losses.
Washington
State, 2 losses.
Well, Washington State just lost to Washington. That's why
I understand.
My issue that I have more than anything is Washington was I don't remember what they were coming in. Washington State was number 8, right? Before that, Washington dropped to 13. Is that? Can you?
Yeah, Washington jumped into number 11.
Michigan lost to Ohio State handedly. I put it that, and they're only 1 spot under Ohio State. Is there a problem with certain conferences getting more precedent than other conferences.
Yes, we all know who it is.
And this isn't just the Power Five. This is talking about the SEC is definitely seen as the end-all, tell-all when it comes to the college football playoff system. They have this built to where if Alabama loses on Saturday, which is a likely scenario, that
it can certainly happen.
I'm sorry?
It certainly can happen.
So here's the big question. Do they deserve still to get in number 4?
If that happens, do you knock out, this is what the likelihood is they're saying. Georgia loses, right? Or Georgia wins. Georgia wins. Top 4 now. So Georgia moves up to, we'll just say Georgia moves to 2. Clemson goes to 1. Clemson wins their game. This is all hinging on that.
Notre Dame stands pat.
Well, right. Notre Dame's 3. The question a lot of people have said, if Ohio State or Oklahoma wins their conference, what is the argument that's made since they won their conference on Saturday and Alabama stays in the top 4? Does Notre Dame get knocked out of the top 4 for being idle?
No, they shouldn't. They're undefeated.
But we had the same situation last year where a team won their conference. It was the Pac-12 last year. Did not get pushed in. And a team that was idle, that did not play in the conference title at all, in this situation was Alabama, got put into the top 4. Is that a situation that should happen here?
Yes, it's going to happen. And what's going to happen is you know what we may end up seeing? We may end up seeing Alabama take 3 and Notre Dame drops to 4. That's what we could see happen.
Do you see so let's just play everything goes in the
Alabama will be in it no matter what, but they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. If they lose their conference game and Oklahoma at number 5 wins, Oklahoma should get the right to be in because they won their conference game. That is the point of a conference title. That's the point of it.
What's the conversation?
What do you mean? There is none.
Oklahoma. And what's the conversation? Oklahoma gets it because they're number 5?
Yes, they won their game.
By 3, but Ohio State wins by 30 again. You don't put Ohio State in that conversation?
No, because Oklahoma's playing a team that's ranked higher than what actually. Yeah. Oklahoma beat a number 14 team while Ohio State's beating number 21. There's the reason right there.
Oklahoma, they're playing? Who is it?
This week
they're playing Texas again.
Right? Okay, and they lost that game earlier? Was that
by 3 points.
They did.
So
that's their loss.
Now let me ask you this. Say Alabama beats Georgia. Oklahoma and Ohio State lose. Do you put Georgia back at number 4? Because they lost to number 1 team?
Essentially, if literally
that's probably what's going to happen.
Lose, or does an idle Michigan or UCF
Can you guys hear me?
Conference put them in the top 4?
Put UCF at number 4.
Happen for me. I'm sorry?
Put UCF at number 4.
I tell you this because Milton's hurt. I think that they would. That's a reason that they said they didn't make it to 7. So I can't see that happening. But do you think that in that scenario, since Michigan is technically 7 right now, that they should go to the number 4 spot if the 5 and 6 lose and Georgia loses? So 4, 5, 6 lose hypothetically.
Because Michigan just lost badly, and they have 2 losses.
That would be the same situation we had last year with Alabama. That's what I'm saying to you. So since it's not Alabama, Michigan shouldn't make it because they're their conference title game, but yet they're the next team out in this situation.
I don't know, dude. This playoff system sucks. Do 8 teams. Make it easy.
That's all I'm saying. Something has to be said. But this is how the situation will get fixed, by having these kind of conversations where they see that the system has flaws. Because this could play out, and a team that wasn't even in conversation, where it's like their likelihood's 3% to make it, could now possibly make it. If a lot of these scenarios play out. If Northwestern goes and beats Ohio State. If Texas comes and beats Oklahoma. If Georgia beats Alabama like projected. If Clemson somehow lost their game. What kind of crazy roundup would we have come Sunday when they make the poll prediction, the final choices? A lot could happen on Saturday that could shake it up, and you might see a team, for instance, Alabama or Clemson that hasn't lost all year lose, and they could possibly be on the outside looking in because of the way the projections are right now.
Well, okay. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it. Why not, Anthony? Your final 4 after Saturday. What do you think it's going to be?
If no one loses, I don't think that these 4 should move. If they all win, I don't see how any of these 4 don't move.
Well, Georgia obviously or
Georgia
Bama's
or
going to
Alabama
lose.
has to
So
win.
that's So that.
If Georgia wins,
No. This is no if. It's what do you think is going to happen?
I think Alabama's going to win.
Okay, so what is your Final Four then with them winning?
So I think Oklahoma is going to lose again, and I think Ohio State will beat Northwestern. What I would like to have is Ohio State and Oklahoma to lose, and I'd like to see, because I'm more so not even for being a UCF fan and seeing if they move. I want to see what
happens. Right.
I want to see what their decision would be and how they would base it, because if Ohio State loses, this is a team, like I said, that they would possibly move. That's next after those two. That would be coming off a 20 to almost 30-point loss to the team that just lost their conference title game. That would be in at number 4.
So what is your prediction for the Final Four?
If I'm just going to go based off of what I think is going to happen, I'm going to stick with that. I think Oklahoma is going to lose a close game to Texas again, and I think Ohio State will take the 4th spot by beating North.
Okay. Chris, what's going to be your final?
Not what I want to see, though.
What's your Final Four, Chris?
Well, I think the top 3 stay the same.
Who's going to be number 4?
It's just going to be that 4th spot.
Who's it going to be?
If Georgia loses,
Stop the ifs.
Well, yeah, stop the ifs, right?
The ifs, because there's no guarantee.
Right. I'm going to put in Oklahoma.
I'm going to go with Chris. I'm going to say the top 3 remain and Oklahoma gets in.
Now, let me ask you this real quick, one last time. Obviously, we're all going Alabama wins. If Oklahoma and Ohio State win, do you think there's any chance Notre Dame gets dropped for those 2 to get put in since they won their conferences?
Not a chance.
No, not a chance at all.
Because they were saying all last week, win and you're in, so there's not a chance.
Ohio State wins their game by 20 and Oklahoma wins on a last-second field goal. Do you think that that's a conversation they're going to have for Ohio State to be 4 instead of Oklahoma, despite the 5 and 6 rankings?
No.
So you think Oklahoma, no matter what the final score is, Oklahoma should be in?
Yeah, because Ohio State had worse, I think, close victories. I mean, they lost to a Purdue team who was really bad.
I'm agreeing with you guys. I just want to make sure that this is the conversation that's
happening. You want to know why? You want to know why Notre Dame's going to stay in no matter what? These were the rankings of the teams at the time they beat them, which they looked at. So they beat Michigan when they were 14, Stanford when they were 7, Virginia Tech when they were 24, and Syracuse when they were 12. So they beat these teams, win these rankings. So you're going to look at that and say, holy crap, they have 4 top 25 wins.
Yeah,
so
I'm not.
What?
I think we're all that fact.
What happens if Georgia, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Michigan all lose, right?
Michigan's not playing.
That's right. I just looked at their schedule.
UCF's number 4.
Yeah, I was going to say, does UCF jump?
They're not going to.
12-0?
Well,
all right, now here's my I got a big question for you, Anthony. If UCF, let's say, jumps to 4,
which we know is not going to happen.
What's going to be the point difference between them and Alabama?
What's the over-under? What's the plus? The favorites.
What do you no? How about this? Do you think they would have a chance against Alabama?
Listen, man. I think anytime in a football game, and you could say whatever you want. This is not me being a UCF, a fan. You should think going into any game that you have a chance to win. The likelihood of them winning against Alabama without their best player obviously isn't in their favor.
But do you think people will start discrediting them if that would happen? They lose, be like, "Oh, we knew all along." Do you think people will understand their quarterback's not there?
That would bother me more than anything.
Right.
The fact that if they were given the opportunity, like you said, if this scenario played out where all these teams lose and UCF does get put at 4, that they would say, "Oh, well, look, you see, they finally got a chance. They got beat by 20," and it's like they played without their best player. That would be like if the Alabama showed up and they didn't have Tua playing. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, they lost, but it's okay." And that would be the argument. Well, Tua wasn't playing. That's why they lost one of the 4 best teams in the country. So I don't think it would be a fair assessment one way or the other. And at the same token, if UCF were to get in this game and win, that would be the argument too. What would people say then? That they beat them without their best player. So what? It's a tough situation because the game plan obviously is going to be different. And honestly, if you're in the top 2, if you're Clemson, Alabama right now, it's a lot of uncertainty because if you guys win, even Notre Dame, you don't know who this 4th team is going to be right now. You really don't because a lot could happen on Saturday. So it's hard to game plan who you could be playing because we just talked about it. There could be so much that could happen that could change everything. A lot would need to happen for a major shift to happen, but we could see something crazy happen on Saturday. And like I said, I'm all for it just to see the conversation and what exactly they would do, because I think it's just an exciting thing, and I think it's coming out of this, it's going to show that they have to do some kind of improvement on the system to either add teams or do some kind of other metric in order to make it, because right now you're going to have at least one team, if not two teams, that should be in the conversation that are going to be on the outside looking in, that are going to be conference champions.
All right.
And they don't know why. I think that's the main thing, because you can't fix something if you don't really know what went wrong.
Right. You can't. I mean, and like I know with UCF they say strength of schedule, but like you guys mentioned before, Ohio State has a horrible loss. They need to do. So, that's an argument that a team like UCF has to, or even Washington State before they lost that game, they have to say, well, this team lost to a team, greatly, and we haven't lost a game all year.
Right.
So despite maybe our schedule might be a little bit, easier, what do we have to do in this situation in order to better our chances for future improvement, make the college football playoff? And I think Chris is 100% correct. There's no guideline of what they can do to actually make it. It's just, that's just the way the cards fell on this one, and they're going with.
All right.
So,
it's tough.
Yeah.
We all put our arguments out there. I think that's
It'll be an exciting Saturday.
Do it for us today. So definitely next Tuesday, we get the recap, and actually we'll probably get to do they'll announce all the bowl games this weekend. So maybe,
I think it's on Sunday.
All right, so let's go ahead and say this. Next Tuesday, we will do a College Bowl preview, and we'll preview the football playoffs and all the New Year's Day bowls. So next week, College Bowl preview show. What do y'all think about that?
I like it.
Get ready for bowl season, because it will be December, and December is bowl season.
Who are you going with right now? Alabama to win it all?
Clemson.
Chris?
No, Bama.
You're a Bama.
I hate to say it, but I have to agree with him. I've just
That's
seen
all right.
them play two games.
Chris, you know what we got to do next week? Once they announce the bowl things, we got to go to Charlestown to make our bets. I may have to go up to Charlestown for the New Year's Day and just make bets all day. Just bet on games all day.
Hey,
Apparently, there was a bet for the match if Tiger Woods was going to show up in red and black. There was a prop bet.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Yeah. So there it is. You heard it first. Next week, 7:30 p.m. live on YouTube and Facebook. The Sports Recap Live College Football Bowl Season Preview Show. So tune in for that. We will also be tweeting and Facebooking out all the results from the College Football Playoff Committee on Sunday, I believe is when I think it's Sunday at like 12 o'clock. Right. So like I said, you can catch us on Twitter at Sports Recap Live, Facebook, www.facebook.com/Sports Recap Live. Don't be faked out by the SST logo on it. I'm fixing that pretty soon. Sports Recap Live at gmail.com, YouTube/Sports Recap Live. Join us on all that. So we will be back, like I said, 7:30 next Tuesday. Just like every Tuesday, you can join us live on YouTube and Facebook. So for myself, Paul, Anthony, and Chris, enjoy your week, enjoy your weekend, and enjoy all the great college football action.
Are you guys still eating turkey leftovers?
Yes.
Yep.
No.
Tonight is my last night.
I meant to do a couple more nights.
A happy Thanksgiving on that note as well.
Oh, yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah. All right. See ya.
See ya, everybody.
Peace.